go with even very powerful lovers, you tend to get past that. They say love is a union of opposites. But then there comes a time whereas both opposites are polarized in you, and the person that you meet is just like yourself. And both of you have gotten rid of your idiosyncrasies and that particular aspect, that you just know it. You just know it. It's something that in the realm of spirit, you just know it. You see what I'm saying? Just like you know when it's time to go to bed. Or just like you know when it's time to die. You see what I'm saying? You would just know it. Believe me, it is so powerful. And usually, it doesn't take a long time. It can happen overnight. And it can be some person that you totally didn't expect it. You see, it's just one of those things whereas at this particular time, remember now, a lot of this stuff, because we're so messed up in the society, a lot of this stuff hadn't been done before. So we're on the cutting edge of it. So it's not that much ample evidence. You know what I'm saying? It's not as cut as dry as that. Right. You will know it. The soul will know it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right. Okay. There's another question I was given, and it was another sister. Same thing. Women, man. Touch on people's misconceptions about love.
Misconceptions about love.
I mean, that's a big question.
That's a vague question. It's broad.
It's broad.
In the aspect, and I think that I would go with some of the biggest down here. Two. One has to do with the society and the misconception where I think you have to ask yourself, are you comfortable with love because of a social setting, a material setting, or is it just something that you can't put your hand on? True love has nothing to do with these packages they come in. You know what I'm saying? Have nothing to do with these packages they come in. They just are. You see what I'm saying? And that can be a misconception. This was another great misconception about love. Women tend to fall victim of this one. They say, if he loved me, he wouldn't have done this, or he wouldn't have done that. And what we don't realize is a woman's concept of love could be different than a man's concept of love based on we both have different training. We are raised different from children. Right. So your concept, now let me give an example. Because in this aspect of love, love is chaos, and chaos never stops moving. It's unpredictable. So you can't pinpoint it down with a set of laws to say this is the way love's supposed to be. Whenever you do that, you box it in. You understand what I'm saying? And it just dies. So really, this whole process, we talking about this love at this particular time, this whole process that we're dealing with, there can't be these rigid laws to define it. Now, I'll give you an example of what I mean. To understand the difference of women thinking different than men. And it could be something socially, more than biologically, but still yet, the question was, what is people's misconceptions of love? And by the way, my mother told me this. It's the first person I heard it from. Then I witnessed it with my own eyes with one of my friends. A man can be madly in love and can go out and have passionate sex with somebody else. And somehow women that are not trained are not, I don't want to say trained, but I want to say the word, that are not socialized into this particular way of doing things, cannot, for the damnedest of them, cannot understand it. But then there are women that can be in love and can be prostitutes. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Nymphomaniacs or whatever, just like sex. They can get past that. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So we do know that biologically a woman can do this and be in love. But for most of the social behavior of women in most societies, especially in most modern societies, it doesn't occur as the way it is with a man. But a man can go out, and I have had a friend that was so in love until when it wasn't going right, he would be in the bed sick. I have seen this guy love to that particular aspect on that level, but it was still, it was early. It wasn't the cosmic stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about he was madly in love, and no one can say that this guy wasn't. And a week later, we roll in stuff, and we meet some girls, and we both make love to these women. You know what I'm saying? And he's not sitting up in there and not enjoying it. Right. But it has nothing to do with him not being in love. And the woman will say, well, if he loved me, he wouldn't have done it. No. That's your concept of it, and that can be a misconception. Now, I'm not necessarily telling you that to give over to the extreme, but I'm still trying to tell you something. It's all about understanding. You see what I'm saying? It's all about understanding. And that's what we're talking about here. Trying to understand this thing. You see. So, those are misconceptions. We can go into other ones. We can go into other ones. But that's why it should, the aim of love should be what they call it, unconditional. Unconditional. And one of the and I think one of the biggest misconceptions of love is confusing love with sex. You see what I'm saying? Confusing love with sex. You see what I'm saying?
So what part does sex play?
Well, it plays a major aspect of it. You understand what I'm saying? It plays a major aspect of it. The soul, that is how the soul actually engage in the physical process down here.
That's why they call love making.
Love making. The soul engages in the physical process. Wow. It is the soul's playground. It is how the soul expresses itself. You see what I'm saying? It is how the soul expresses itself. It is a, let's put it this way. Now you say no, because in that case, that would be a contradiction, because people can have sex without being in love. Yes, you can. Right. But I'm trying to tell you this. I can use this pencil and I could write something down. I could write all day long. And it really is just some memo or something that I'm writing to communicate. But then again, on the other hand, I could also take this pencil and write to express myself. I'm still using the same art form or the same, I'm still using the same process. You understand what I'm saying? But the same medium. But there are two different types of things that's going on. One is a creation process, and one is more of a function. I'll give you an example. I'm an artist. I was trained in photorealism, which means I could take a picture, and I could draw a picture so good until you'd have to look close to see if it was a photograph. I was obsessed by that. And it got me all kind of awards. It got me on the dean's list in college. It did a whole lot for me. And then I met a guy named Blair Mills late in my college career who was a master. And he said, you are a good draftsman. You can depict You can draw an image to perfection, but you have no creative skills whatsoever. So if I asked you to express yourself other than drawing a perfect picture, you couldn't do it. And he was right. Here I was, been in school damn near 4 years at one school, 2 years at this school, and couldn't even express myself on an artistic way. But I could draw. I was the best artist in 2 states. One of the best artists in South Carolina and one of the best artists in Georgia as far as drawing. But I was at 0 level of creativity, which means I couldn't create nothing because I spent most of my time at a draftsman table. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the difference about expressing yourself. Sex is a vehicle for love to express itself, but sex could also be a vehicle to just fucking. So it's 2 different things. One is a function, one is creativity. And that's why I found out that I was not an artist. But the best draftsman, the best artist, as far as to get the job done, my artwork is impeccable. You be like, oh my God, how can you do it? It looks like a photograph. It's perfect. But as far as the content of the picture, it's just a goddamn picture of a woman or a man or whatever. That's the difference. You know, as far as sex being a part of that type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Good one, man. All right, I got another question from another sister that says, does it matter to a man, I'm going to ask for man and woman also, I'm going to do man first. Does it matter to a man who says, I love you first? And if so, why?
Me personally, I think because a woman from the time she's a child, she's trained to receive love. And she has no problem when it does hit of expressing it. I think that it's the single most important thing to a woman's life is love. And me being in love now and knowing that I got the ultimate prize means that I realize now that the woman is probably way smarter than man. Because if you've ever been in love, why wouldn't you want to be in love? It's some dynamite shit. And goddamn women, they're never, even when they're not in love, they're never far from this notion of being in love. You see what I'm saying? Of being in love. So, when a man says he loves her before she says he loves, before she says it, ain't nothing for her to say it. You see what I'm saying? Because she was born for that. So when a man says it in a society and a socialization, whereas in this society we're even trained to even fight love. Insecure about love, afraid about love. We don't like things controlling us this way based on our egos. Remember they said, Neil, you like to be in control. So when a man is clear enough to say he loves her, I think it's very important to a woman, you see what I'm saying, to take that in consideration and take heed, because if there's anybody who's not prone to not even to saying love or prone to even knowing what the shit is about, is us. We can totally miss the fucking picture. You know what I'm saying? Totally miss the picture. So, I personally, I think if a man says he's in love before she does, she has a rare situation. You see what I'm saying? Of course, not unless, but then again, not unless it's some nerd type cat or some type of brother that's just not used to women. You know, but if he's got anything going on, and the reason why he said, well, why don't you talk on half of the nerd? Because I already know the black woman. She hard on a nigga when it comes to doggone picking. She the pickiest shit in the damn society. She can look like shit and want her a motherfucking knight in shining armor.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, man. I was going to bring it to the woman, but you pretty much answered that one with it. Does it matter to a woman who says, I love you first? And if so, why? Some women...
Well, I was actually answering for the woman to say it should.
Because some women are afraid to say I love you because they've been hurt before.
You do have that. I have to take that in consideration also.
They'll wait, and then when the guy says it, they still don't want to say it back.
Right.
Or if the guy, same thing with a guy, he'd get the woman and she'll say I love you, and he'd be scared to say it back.
Right, yeah.
Hurt.
Right, yeah. And, she's been hurt, yeah. Yes. But here goes again. Usually, that's not her nature. So if she's been hurt, we can understand that.
Right.
So it shouldn't matter to a guy if she says she's hurt and he realizes that this is what has happened.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? This is what has happened. You know, yeah. Another misconception of love I want to put down here before we go.
Go ahead.
Pretty much, women have gathered together and they have made a good job of of understanding men who fall short of certain things because they don't want to get hurt. So it's, you know what I'm saying. But I think this is one that women should know themselves, that it's a victim of Western society. Young women, and I'm not making this assessment based on from a male's point of view. I'm making this assessment from a female's point of view by noticing something about young women, keeping it to myself, and then later on hearing it from older women. But I first was made privy to it by my mother. But I'm glad that I sat back to find out for my own self on the different age groups and find out with a lot of sisters that's in the Jubilee period, which is the 50-year-olds, and some that's in their mid-40s that can understand this because they're looking in retrospect. And that is based on what a lot of women say, is that when they are young, they do not like nice men. They don't like nice guys. You see, maybe it has something to do with the society of nice guys finish last. That it could be a Western thing. And I'm quite sure it is, because I mean it is kind of really messed up for you to like a person that don't like you. But I do know this for a fact. I first was made privy to this with my mother. She said, man, you in college. She said, now don't be fucking around going up there and being nice, because a nice motherfucker better get the fuck out of my face. This is my mama, a school teacher. And she's saying how she knows what was going on when she was young. You understand what I'm saying? What was going, and I think it's even worse now with the roughneck and the shit that has been produced with the hip hop world. It's probably even worse with girls and the whole gangster shit. But this thing is prevalent enough, even in my mother's age. You see what I'm saying? Of being a teenager in their fucking 50s. You see what I'm saying? Early 50s or whatever. The point I'm trying to make here is that's one of the misconceptions. Now, the sisters that now in their 50s are telling me, when I was younger, I didn't like nice guys. But too often, when they figured it out, sometimes it's too late for sisters, because we got such a disproportion of men in this society. The ones that's in jail, you see what I'm saying? The ones that's already married, the ones that's gay, and then the ones that's dysfunctional, sexually and some just bombs or some type of thing that you can't even deal nothing with. So the point I'm trying to make here is, a lot of times when they figure it out, it's too late for a lot of sisters. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's too late for a lot of sisters. So that's a bad misconception, and I'm glad I went back to that question, because that is major. You understand what I'm saying? And they must challenge this idea, or they must challenge this, because the simple fact here is, some of these girls are not, all men are dogs. No, some of these girls, they draw to them these types of things based on what they like. They say think, and it is. Well, they have a certain concept of what they like, and they draw this to them. And a lot of times, it is dog men. There was a guy from your neck of the woods, New York, down in college with me. This brother was a straight-up psychopath. He would go to jail every semester for fighting and all this, and it didn't get, okay, when he was a freshman, that's all right. He just coming out of high school. But it didn't get no better each year until they finally threw this nigga out of school and stuff for just raising too much hell. They waited till his senior year and they got his ass and threw him out of school. And I remember the day his father was coming to pick him up, they literally had to pry this girl from his neck. He is one of the biggest psychopaths on the campus of thousands. He was the worst. And I noticed he didn't have no trouble with women. You see what I'm saying? None with women. Then when a woman try to sometimes say, I'm severely damaged, you see what I'm saying? Now on the other hand, she has to look at this psychopath that she has conjured up. Now on the other hand, I have known guys with 4.0s. These motherfuckers could build radios out of this damn table. Build a damn race car out of some fucking fabric. These niggas are now CEOs of corporations now, and the same women are going, huh? Why can't I meet a man like that? And they didn't even consider them. You see what I'm saying? When they were young. So this is one that's a vicious cycle. You know, yeah.
All right. Want another?
Yeah, how many more you got?
A couple more.
Well, you might as well finish them off.
Yeah, we're going to knock them out. All right. Damn, you just did this one. But it leads into something deeper. How are people able to get with the wrong person?
Right.
And what makes love so powerful that people can be blinded by love? Okay.
Well, on one aspect, I can add a little light to say that they say that love is because they say that love is a opposite of unions. A union of opposites. So by love being a union of opposites, I can see how it can be very powerful when you like a person who's not like you, which makes a lot of sense. And I think too often that's what happens when they can get with the wrong person also. And be very attracted to them. So there's a metaphysical aspect of the woman being attracted to somebody, you see what I'm saying, that's not like her and stuff. But it's a thin line, you see, with abuse. But it goes back to the same thing. The wrong person could very well be an entrapment of something you think you want, and it's always based on a survey of what you should have. You see what I'm saying? A survey of what you should have, and understanding this type of stuff. Right. So yeah.
Okay. Here we go. This is a grand champ question, and I'm sure you hear. Why are black people so in love with their enemies?
With their enemies. Okay, well, since we're talking about love, I guess that can be a form of love. I think that's a perverted form of love. That's Stockholm Syndrome. So in that particular case, that's not really true love. But some of the same principles of opposites attract applies. You understand what I'm saying? Down here, but on the other hand, it's a perverted aspect because the simple fact here is it's a form of mind control, Stockholm Syndrome, where the kidnapped falls in love with the kidnapper. Or the battered woman falls in love with the man that is the batterer. You see what I'm saying? It's the same Stockholm Syndrome. And I think that's the perverted aspect of it. You see, of it. But on the molecular, on the deep psychological levels, we like sometimes that which is different. And John Henry Clark said, how did we become so fascinated? You see what I'm saying with white folks? But then again, let's look at contrast. And I think this got something to do with other races. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. We can go to Europe now, and they say that they are fascinated with black folks.
Especially American black.
American black men and black women.
Right.
And singers and stuff like that. But I'll give you an American case. There was a high school teacher that was from South Dakota. And he said because there was a black family that moved into the community. And it was the only black family. He said, and they would invite them all to, everybody wanted to invite the black family to dinner. He said it got so bad until they damn near had fights on who was going to invite the black family to dinner because they wasn't used to them, so it became an infatuation. So sometimes the contrast, you see that white skin in a black community, it represents something so different. You see, and although you see it on TV, I'm talking about the contrast of you in a black community, everybody in there black, and you got this white person walking around. And it can either go either way. It can be very strange looking, or it can be fascinating. You see what I'm saying? On the subconscious level. But what he's talking about is based on mind control. We love that which hates us, and that is the Stockholm Syndrome. That which has terrorized us. And that's called a pedagogy of the oppressed. The oppressed falls in love with the oppressor because why? He has the mind of the oppressor. So they take the mind. If I hate black folks and I give this black person my mind by wiping his mind out simply by eliminating his culture, then that black person who receives my mind that hates black people, he will hate black people also because the mind becomes in opposition to the body. And he will also love white people. You understand what I'm saying? He would love white people because he has the white mind. So the oppressed take on the mindset of the oppressor. That's they say whoever controls the people controls the mind of the children. So
that form of mind control, that was intentionally done, or you think it's a byproduct, or is it like a psychological byproduct, or did the enemy know they gonna love us more than they love themselves? Or we're like, along with that Christianity teaching,
remember now
turn on the cheat shit, you know, like
remember now, it was a process of learning what to do. Remember now, we were in lab experiments in the breeding forms of slavery. See, a lot of times we misconstrue that we were bred. I don't want to get too far off the subject, but it does have a lot to do with love too, and how we have these misconceptions. Because one of the misconceptions is, to give you an example, let me clear this up first. We have a misconception, and we don't know a lot of time because the act was committed 100, 200, 300 years ago, that we were bred to be the way we were. You see, to be the way we were. Now this is all in line when it comes to black male and female male relationship or male and female relationship, because some of the biggest male chauvinists are women, because they have been given a set of patriarchal ideas. They were bred in them based on the society, and they view women from a patriarchal concept or a male chauvinist concept. You see what I'm saying? And that's why women are the fastest to turn against each other. And why is this? It's still a victim of a patriarchal society, because a woman has to have it's based on competition. She's constantly have to compete with the man based on looks, based on this. You see what I'm saying? Based on social aspect, classism, and different things like that. You see? So it all comes together. You see, on that particular level.
Well, we got through the questions, and on that note, we're going to take a brief break.